JBH Boutique Care offers you a unique exclusive membership in our nationwide concierge medical services network. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Judine Bontemps-Hill. I'm double board certified in family and obesity medicine. We pair exclusive personalized care with accessibility and convenience. A better way for you to receive immediate quality medical care. Whether at our main Orlando, Florida office, traveling across the U.S. or visiting the States, we bring you the best medical care without waiting for an appointment. Become a member today by calling 407-234-5282 or visit us online at jdhmed1.com. JBH Boutique Care is proud to sponsor Sounds of the Diaspora, music and conversations with artists, and host Dion Parson every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Source TV Radio Network, WTSN, Washington, D.C.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of Sounds of the Diaspora, Artist to Artist, a conversation with Dion Parson. It's my absolute pleasure to have our extreme talented and remarkable guest on the show tonight. This is the gentleman that I've met, I won't say a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, here in St. Thomas. Heard about him, knew of him, and it was a pleasure to meet him. And he came to St. Thomas with his group and performed, and it was really amazing. I had a great time checking him out, and I really had a great time getting to know him. And one of the first things I did was invite him on the show. Please welcome Mark Dover.
Hey, Dion. Thanks for having me.
Mark, how you doing?
Good. I'm good.
Good, man. Welcome to Sounds of the Diaspora.
Thank you so much. This is great.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing is, you know, the show is created to promote, enhance the sounds of the Afro-Caribbean diaspora. But when I met you, man, and you know, we started to talk, and you did a workshop. You did a couple workshops for us here in St. Thomas, and the performances you did. And I said, man, I have to have this guy on the show because it's not about color barriers or anything. The information, I mean, the knowledge, everything it was so intriguing that I just really had to invite you on the show. So thank you for agreeing to being here. I know we jumped through a couple of hoops to make this happen within your schedule, but thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for putting up with my schedule and letting me be here. Yeah, we had so much to talk about down in St. Thomas, so I'm glad that we have another chance to chat.
Yes, sir. So you're in New York City, and I didn't get into all the details in my introduction, but you're a clarinetist, you're an educator, you're a composer, you're a producer, and I want to touch on those 4 different topics throughout the show because I think it's important for our audience to connect the dots because we have we have a vast audience around the world, and I want them to connect the dots with, you know, who Mark Dover is. So let's talk about your upbringing. You know, you're from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
That's right.
Right next door to St. Thomas.
Yeah, not too far. Go blue. Right.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing I like about Ann Arbor is, like, I went to Interlochen as a kid in high school. I spent one summer there. So for me, it's when I say it's right next door, it's not that far because it's part of my musical upbringing. But growing up in Ann Arbor, you know, tell us about your introduction to music and how that came about.
Yeah. So Ann Arbor is a really beautiful place, and you know, it's college town, as you know, University of Michigan, which is where I ended up going for my undergraduate. But it just has a great public school system there, and particularly music education has always been really, really strong there. So, for instance, in 5th grade, everyone, at least when I was there, I think it's still like this, but when I was there, 5th grade, everyone had to choose an instrument.
Right.
And not only that, but there were free instruments for everyone in the school.
Right.
So that was huge. And, I had taken some piano lessons. I come from not a musical family, but my mother was a stage actress and taught theater as well. She eventually became a speech pathologist, but my dad was just a lifelong lover of music and has a great ear, good whistler, those kinds of things. So they had a real respect for music. So I had that support early on. And, I had taken some piano lessons when I was 7 or 8, but wasn't super interested in that. I was writing little songs and stuff on the piano, but I didn't like to practice, And I think, my parents would sit me down with an egg timer and try to get me to practice, but, wasn't really taken. So I stopped the piano, and then 5th grade clarinet started just because I chose it randomly kind of. And because I wasn't really serious about piano, they didn't really push the clarinet on me, but for some reason the clarinet resonated with me. And I got, more and more into it. Middle school, I started going to not Interlochen, but there's another camp called Blue Lake, which is also a big music camp in Michigan. It's kind of like the state for music camp. So there I started to get more serious. And then up into high school, like by 9th grade, I knew I wanted to play. And so it was just like I had great teachers, a really amazing teacher in high school, Jay DeVries, who really kind of helped, inspire me and get my act together. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
Great, man. I mean, we always have to have those music educators that inspire us, but you came up in a really nice and rich musical environment, which similar to what I had here in the Virgin Islands. I want to actually, you talk about, Interlochen being there, and there was another camp, Blue Lake, you said?
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Was there all state? Because I remember going to Interlochen when I went there, and it was the Interlochen music camp, but it was also an all-state camp of the state of Michigan where kids came and participated, but it was separate from the Interlochen camp, and we didn't engage at all. It was just separate, and we saw each other. We're like, "Hey, how you doing?" But we never engaged. That was something that was happening at that time. All state.
They had that when I was there too. Yeah, and it was like just like you said, it was a separate thing. It was kind of like run through the state, but they used the Interlochen campus.
Okay,
if that makes sense. They had like different colored belts than the regular kids. You know what I mean? And that's also great too. Like the Michigan. That speaks to just the level of importance that Michigan places on music education. And, a lot of states, Texas has all-state program. Right. A lot of states have it. But Michigan is just a real big, like, music, and especially band culture is really big in the state of Michigan. So that was there, too. Yeah.
I think it's important for our leaders to understand, that from a cultural standpoint, no matter what state you're in or where you're in the world, culturally, that you have to support the arts to make sure that there's some type of, legacy or in continuum through this whole process. Because you can look at what's happening today, but if you don't enrich, our kids coming behind us, it's not gonna be sustainable. So. Yeah, that's a great thing that Michigan did that. So you were part of that, and it shows. So which is a good thing. So, you go through, you come through the public school system. You go to University of Michigan for undergraduate, and then you get out there in the world, and all of these amazing things start happening. So, tell us about after you left University of Michigan.
Yeah, well, and right before Michigan, my senior year of high school, I actually went to Interlochen, the academy, the high school. So I went there, and that really, I was really fortunate to go there for my senior year of high school. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So I did do that, and that really set me up really well for undergrad at Michigan. And I had 4 beautiful years there. And that was when I was really starting to explore playing other genres and stuff. I was playing in Michigan. I was a clarinet classical major, but I was playing in the big band. I was playing in combos. I was, transcribing on the weekends, trying to learn, the saxophone and trying to get that stuff together. And then I finished Michigan in 2009, and I actually took a year off, and I played on a cruise ship, which also kind of helped me in some ways, like, get my first experiences working as a professional musician was technically on the cruise ship. So and I also like that was the kind of gig I call it like quantity. It was a quantity gig. In other words, like I learned a bunch of tunes playing on the ships. I probably learned like a couple hundred tunes.
Right.
So it kind of prepared me as a jazz musician, and I got a lot of stuff together working on the ships. I did 2 different ships, but then I moved to New York after that year off, and I went and got my master's back to classical music, classical clarinet at Manhattan School of Music. And I studied with this amazing guy, David Krakauer, who is just an incredible clarinetist and improviser, klezmer musician, but also classical musician of the highest order. So, he was one of the first people to show me that you really can play whatever you want to play. You can be inspired by other genres of music and explore different avenues of expression and stuff. And so I learned so much from him. So that was 2010, 2012. I finished that, and I was freelancing in New York for about 4 years after that time. And so
nice.
Everything was kind of leading to that.
And just listening to you talk, this is exactly why I wanted you on the show, because from talking about studying at Manhattan School and studying klezmer music and the influence you've had from your teacher, just sharing with you that you could play anything. It really shows. It credits you as to the depth of the musician that you are. And you were talking about playing on the cruise ship after graduated from college. So really quick, man. When I was in high school, we played on the cruise ship every year from my sophomore, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. We played on the cruise ships because we had put together our high school jazz ensemble.
Oh, cool.
We did. So you learned that coming out of college. I learned that in school because we would be playing on the cruise ships, and the cats would be like, "Come to this session."
Well, because they were probably coming to port every day, right? All the time.
Cruise ship in the port almost every day. I mean, so we grew up with that world. So my band director, he's not with us anymore, but Professor Austin Venzen, retired at University of the Virgin Islands. When I was in high school, he's formed this relationship with the cruise ship, and our high school jazz ensemble was really good. So that was part of our, experience to go do that. So very early, there was 2 things that for me that let me know I wanted to play music. McDonald's All-American High School Band, school, and playing on the cruise ship. So when you mentioned the cruise ship, I just had to share that because a lot of people don't realize that's a viable, educational platform. That's the next step. And it's practical. A lot of people have done that. Sherman Irby, the Lincoln Center Orchestra, he did that for years. A bunch of cats have done that before they got to the professional level. So it's a great stepping stone. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you got to New York and you finished school and you hanging out on the scene as a classical clarinetist, but you have this influence of klezmer and jazz and all of these things from, being on a cruise ship. What happens after that?
Well, it was really deep, man, because I was kind of everyone that I was, all my degrees were in classical music. So I still had in my head that I was going to be like an orchestral clarinet player. And I was trying and I was, I was playing jazz gigs also. Klezmer, I don't really play. I fake that, my teacher was a klezmer player. But I was kind of playing whoever was hiring, I was playing, for about 4 years. And I was like playing down at the New World Symphony in Miami Beach. It's a great training orchestra. I was subbing with them a good amount. And that was kind of like, I took a couple auditions, but frankly, like it was just too expensive to these orchestra auditions. You got to fly to the town, get a hotel room. I just didn't have the bread to take these auditions. So I was kind of just in New York freelancing and wondering what would happen next. And I was teaching a lot. I was teaching teaching in New York City is really like it's a grind, because it's like I'd teach a student in Brooklyn, and then I'd go teach a student on the Upper West Side, which is like 45 minutes, and then I go back to the Lower East Side. I was zipping around on the trains teaching and playing, a lot of $50 gigs, a lot of $100 gigs, and honestly, it was an amazing time. It was stressful. I was struggling financially, at least at first, but slowly I was starting to make some connections, and it was a beautiful thing. I ended up doing a lot of theater stuff as well, off Broadway and Broadway stuff.
Yeah.
That really started to help me like financially be able to kind of like get a little bit more on my feet. So I did that for about 4 years, and then I got the call to audition for Imani Winds, and that was my first big break. Really my true break was joining that group. And
what year was that?
That was 2016.
Okay.
I started with them. So yeah, and it was a long process to join with them and audition. There was like a video round, a live round. It was a whole thing, but I worked really, really hard for the audition, and it paid off. So, yeah.
It definitely paid off, because you guys, I'll just say, sometimes you say words can't express. Words can't express, but, one of the things that really touched me was, Nicole, my wife, worked really hard to get the Imani Winds here to St. Thomas for the Forum Concert Series. Yes. And she's the executive director of that series, and she worked really hard with her board, and all of the whole process behind the scene.
Yes.
And it was confirmed that you guys were coming here, and the weekend of right before you guys came here, you won that Grammy.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's like that's amazing. And so you guys came in with that energy and brought. Oh man! So tell us. So you got into the Imani Winds 2016.
Yeah.
Worked, and you guys are amazing, eclectic, multicultural group. And then you won this Grammy. You came to St. Thomas and did this gig, but just tell us about that process, because I think to me that sounds of the diaspora. That's when I see your group. It covers all the demographics. Culturally, and then the music is amazing. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dion. And we're so, grateful to Nicole also for having us. That was, she was amazing bringing us there. That was the best timing ever for the Grammy to happen. And then like, oh, I guess we got to go to Virgin Islands, And then my wife flew down, and she met me down there, and we stayed for a few days after, which was amazing. It was just a great time. I'll speak for the group in this case, because I think this album was really a decade-long labor of love for Imani Winds. The piece was written in 2012, Passion for Bach and Coltrane, by Jeff Scott, who was the original horn player in Imani Winds. When I joined Imani in 2016, I was the first new guy. So Jeff was the horn player, and Valerie Coleman was playing flute. And so Jeff wrote this piece for the original Imanis. And when I came in 2016, one of my earliest collaborations with the group was a live. We performed the work live. And for the 8 years I've been in the group, we've performed it all over the country. So the work has been out there, but the problem was we wanted to record it, but it takes a lot to make that happen, because there's 13 people on the stage. It's a string quartet, wind quintet, jazz trio, and orator. So it's really hard to get everyone's availability, get the money for it, raise the money. It was like, and also just even logistically, like, how do you mic that kind of group? How do you record that and film it? Because we there's a concert film version, a DVD also. Version of it too. So it was just like we always wanted to bring the piece to life. And so we formed a record label, a media company, Imani Winds Media, and this was our first project, was recording this piece. And It's based on the poetry of Toyin, our oboist, her father, A.B. Spellman. He wrote this poetry about this fictional meeting between Bach and Coltrane in heaven, and what it would be like if they were to meet in heaven. And so Jeff took this poetry, he set it to music, and he interspersed the Goldberg variations, Bach's like masterpiece, the Goldberg variations, with Coltrane's A Love Supreme, and he arranged different movements and parts of those works, and then also wrote a bunch of original music that he kind of like combined and melded together. So that's kind of like the elevator pitch of the record, and but it was just kind of like a dream come true to put the album out, and because it was years in the making, and when we put it out, I personally I was like, we're just going to release it, and that's the beauty of putting a record out. I think if you try to put a record out to like win an award, it's not really what it's about, and I just wanted to bring that music to people. And so the fact that when it got nominated, I was like, well, that's crazy. And that's more than enough, So
Yeah.
to win on top of all that, it was unbelievable. And honestly, even more so for Monica Ellis and Toyin, especially our oboist, because it was her father's poetry. This is her baby, in a lot of ways. And for Jeff, the composer who put it all together. So for those three, I was overjoyed, and I was just kind of along for the ride on that, honestly. So
That's great, man. I mean, it's really beautiful to hear that story. I mean, for me, it touches me because I saw the aftermath once you guys came here and what you presented. So
yeah.
we got to be the recipients of of your Grammy nomination and your all accolades that you guys came. So you came with that energy, and it was well received here in the Virgin Islands. And we're small territory, but here's the motto of the story: win a Grammy, come to the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, we had some the bushwhackers helped too, for sure.
Exactly.
It definitely helped the energy.
A lot of these these folks win the national championship for basketball or whatever. What you do? We going to Disney World? No, you wouldn't. You come to the Virgin Islands.
Come St. Thomas. Yeah, that's right.
St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix. Come on down, hang out with us, man. So that's beautiful, man. Yeah. So and you were the producer of that recording.
I was a co-producer. Yeah, Silas Brown engineered, mixed, mastered, and co-produced the album. So he did like a ton of work on that record, and I helped with the editing process, the mixing process, and then all the putting it out, submitting everything. You know how that is, submitting everything to the Recording Academy, all of that work. So we worked on it together, but I'll put him up on the pedestal for that. Yeah, he's incredible.
That's great. Well, the beautiful thing about you is you share the accolades. You're very humble, and that's why I wanted you here, because I know you would represent the group. Not that anybody else wouldn't, but you would represent and make sure that everybody got the accolades that they needed, because I think that Imani Winds is one of our treasures that needs to be presented on a higher level as well, because like I said, it's a very diverse group, and you guys have worked so hard. I've been following you for a while, and I know my wife worked very hard, and this, she tried to get you guys here for many years. So I'm so happy that this is happening. So
that's awesome.
We have other stuff to talk about offline. So
yeah. Well, you don't have to work so hard. Let's go. Like, I'm down. Anytime you'll have me down there.
Yes, sir.
It's a magical place, and I really fell in love with the islands. Yeah.
Well, there's something to be said about the Virgin Islands, man, because I'm born and raised here. I moved back home I'm gonna just share this. I moved back home to just share with our Virgin Islands community that you can be a professional musician or tour in the world, living in the Virgin Islands. That's one of the things, but a lot of people don't see that, because wherever you live, you just feel like you're just stuck in that community. But as a touring musician, where you live, everybody's gravitated to New York because that's the mecca. If you live in New York, you're going to get the call, you're going to do this. But once you get to a certain point in your career, you can basically live anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And if you could live in St. Thomas, I know you would.
I was looking at those condos down there. You know, Point Pleasant. Yeah, we're looking.
I'm just saying, but that's another conversation. But on the serious side, it's so good to hear the story behind the great Imani Wind. So we're gonna have some of the other members on the show, sure. And that's another thing that I want to make sure that happens. That we share the spotlight with everyone. That's why this platform is this. It's not about me. It's about the artist. So yeah. So we talked about your education. We talked about you being the producer, being a clarinetist, and you're a great teacher. So
thank you, man. Yeah.
Where are you teaching now?
I teach clarinet at Rutgers University, which I know is your alma mater. That's right. That's right. Those Scarlet Knights. And also at Queens College, which is part of the City University of New York. Yeah. And then I teach chamber music at Curtis Institute in Philadelphia. Okay. Yeah. And all of the Imani Winds we teach there as well. So
at Curtis.
At Curtis, yeah. So we coach the chamber groups there, and so between those three schools, on top of the touring, it's a busy life for sure. Yeah. But I love it. So
it's really interesting because I had a conversation with someone one time, and I said the amount of time that a musician put in to get to a certain level, especially to be accomplished with a PhD and all of that, and you equate it to someone being a doctor. Doctors will deny, say it's not the same because you're saving people's lives. But as a musician, you're enriching people's lives with what you bring to the table. It's a lot of work, man. It is, yeah. Lot. Your bachelor's, your master's, your PhD, the running around, the teaching,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. A lot of folks don't realize what goes into being that successful as a music educator and a music performer. So
it is a lot. Yeah, and also it's doctors have this problem too. Surgeons have this. But you're performing under pressure. It's the pressure for me that is the most the most taxing thing mentally. It's like you're not playing in your living room. You're wearing a suit and you're playing through an audience full of people who are
right.
You owe them to bring your best, and you owe your colleagues on the stage. So that takes a lot out of me, honestly, more than just like the practicing or the like the early morning flights and stuff. That's work for sure, but it's really like the performing under pressure that is like I think that's for me, that's like why I'm like earning a living. It's like, it's doing it under pressure. It takes a lot out of you, all too well, I'm sure. So,
but then the two is like, for me, before I left New York is like, you have a gig on a Monday night, it may be a jam session, and you have a gig on a Tuesday night. For me, I was I made Summer Broadway show on a Tuesday night and a Wednesday night, and Thursday I'm jumping on a plane to go play with, John Faddis or someone else. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So every night you're playing different music.
Yeah.
That's part of it. It's like you have to stay up with that repertoire and you spend your whole days practicing all this, someone else's music to be proficient on every gig. That's people don't see behind the scene. They see you out there every night performing, but they don't realize that you have to spend an equal amount of time learning that repertoire.
Yeah, keeping everything, together. I mean, for me, I just have to stay super organized. That's the only way I am able to function through it. Like I'm really on it with where I need to be and when, and making sure all my music is learned in the right, that I'm not doing it at the last minute, that I'm prepared. You learn that's the stuff they don't really teach you in school. Like in school, they don't. I wish they taught me how to manage my time and how to file my taxes. If I learned those two things, I think I would have had a lot less growing pains, because when you're out of school, you don't have the time. It's now, you got to learn it now.
So what happens is you go through you grow up, you go through the process of learning your instrument and going to college, doing all of this, and you get to a point, and you're in, wherever you're in New York or California or Europe or whatever, and you realize like, hey, at some point we've all changed, and you become that person, that who you are, that happens to all of us as an artist.
That's
We transform into that person that we are. So,
right.
What do you think?
I think so too. It's funny you say we've all changed, right? But yeah, no, I think that's true.
Yeah. Well, you see where I'm going with this, because
Yeah.
audience is ready to hear you play something. They're ready to hear you. They've heard you speak about, yourself, who is marked over, and they were ready to listen to your music. So the first, you've sent us a number of songs, and you've expressed to us that, you got to this point in your life. So your first song is called "We've All Changed." So,
Right.
so So we've all changed.
Man, haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our audience, one of our audience members says, so beautiful and tranquil.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
But it's very expressive because at the end, you like...
we go for it. Yeah.
This is some other stuff.
Yeah. Well, the idea behind the tune was I started writing it in lockdown during COVID. And you know, I wasn't playing clarinet really hardly at all. And I come up with that melody that you hear in the opening. Like I came up with like maybe half of it, and I thought there was something there, but I couldn't. For the whole pandemic, I like couldn't. The whole lockdown, I couldn't finish it. And then when 2021 came, we started traveling again. We were just kind of, you know, burst back onto the scene. And I was in a practice room at Curtis one night, and it just, the rest of the tune just like came to me. Like I think the energy of just being back, doing things. And so the idea was like, I wonder what happened to me that enabled me to just finish this song, like, you know, just all of a sudden. And the idea, like, well, maybe I've changed, you know, maybe I've something about this experience changed me, you know, and maybe we've all changed. So that's where the title came from. And the kind of energy of how it just starts spiraling and getting crazy. That was like the feeling of coming from this lockdown, really insular, pensive world of my apartment and being thrust back out into the world. That's kind of the idea behind the tune. So yeah,
I can hear it, and it's beautiful. It takes you on a journey. You know, living through the pandemic. You know, I mean, well, it's funny to see like 20 years from now when a lot of people don't remember it, but it's still fresh in our minds.
Yes.
One of the things that I enjoy, you know, hosting the show is that there's been a number of, you know, your colleagues that have gotten on the show and said, I did this during the pandemic, and this is how I express myself. So it's within that line, that same lineage of you know, a journey, everybody's individual journey, which is beautiful. So I enjoy that, man. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
And you know, it shows you as a jazz musician, man. I'm telling you, you know, you over here spang-a-lang, dainty. You know?
Yeah, we're trying. I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're doing it.
Coming from you, that means a lot. Thank you.
No, it's beautiful, man. I'm enjoying it. It's really great, man. So, well, you've changed, and you shared with us a couple other songs. So I just want to, so we have another one that says, I Am Here Now.
That's right.
So, yeah, so let's check this one out.
Okay.
I am here now. Bass clarinet of all instruments.
That's right, the big boy.
Boy, and so tell us about the song, because that's so beautiful, man. It's tranquil, it's peaceful, it's serene, and yeah.
Thank you, man. I wrote that one kind of like what you're saying, as a meditation. 2017, I was going through dealing with loss and some issues in my life, and a friend at the time, a really, really close friend, that was his mantra: I am here now.
Right.
And he would repeat that: I am here now. And he gave that to me. And I was never into meditation, but in that period of my life, I was doing it, and kind of helped me in that time. And the idea of just staying centered, staying in the present, which I think as improvisers we're always trying to do, right? That concept of being in the moment. Yeah. And I think that mindset is actually helpful when you're not just playing music, but just in life. So that kind of stayed with me, and this song, it was one of those things, another thing that just kind of like the idea of that kind of made the song just kind of come. So I wrote that as kind of I don't know, like self therapy, that's kind of what the song was initially. And so that's what that one was about. And Jeremy Jordan, I have to shout, the pianist out, who was also the pianist in the track before. He's kind of been my brother, my closest musical collaborator for many years, for almost 10 years now. And so pretty much everything I record, he's there in some capacity. He's like me on steroids. Like, he's a classically trained pianist, went to Juilliard for classical music, was in the Monk Institute in high school, one of those. Yeah. So can swing with the best of them, and really is a wonderful person to have on the show, actually. Just a great, really brilliant pianist and composer. So that's him. Got to shout him out.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's really beautiful that as I was listening to this song, I always close my eyes as I'm listening to songs, and I have I get monthly massage, and my masseuse plays meditation music and stuff. And this is, if you don't mind, I'm gonna share this with her, because
sure, yeah,
you do a whole album of this, because this a lot of times plays the waterfalls and all of that. But when you have a story to tell on your instrument, because you're telling a story, I can clearly follow the melody. It takes you someplace else. So it's beautiful. This is just a concept that you should pursue. I think you're onto something with this.
Thank you, Dion. I appreciate it.
Clarinet meditation with me. You guys should pursue that.
All right. I'm gonna go for it. Yeah.
So that being said, you have another song. Is This Loss? That's
yes.
Yes. So tell us about that real quick.
Okay, so that's actually was written around the same time, and it's kind of dealing with this concept of loss, and it's not always so cut and dry. Like, sometimes you lose someone close to you, sometimes it's a death, but sometimes you lose a part of yourself. And so that's what this song was kind of about, and it was written in the same period of 2017, where I was kind of going through it a little bit. And so, like many of us do, I'm sure you as well as a composer, just you take to some of those hard times. Sometimes that's when the art is created. So that's the idea. Yeah.
Okay, let's check it out. Is This Loss? is this lost?
Yeah.
You know, so it has a smooth jazz kind of hip hop kind of, you know, it's another vibe.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, we did that EP with Jeremy, the pianist. We did that all in his apartment. You know, a lot of that was during COVID. So tracked all the instruments there. It was a very labor of love kind of project. So, and he's both of us, but particularly Jeremy, super influenced by like Jay Dilla and like 90s hip hop and stuff. And so that there was definitely a lot of that, and also like electronic music influenced in there. So
I wasn't too far off. I was
not too far. Yeah, you're right in there.
I try to check out the categories of what's happening and kind of make sure, like, okay, that's what it just shows your versatility. You know, you and Jeremy's versatility, so which is really great, man. And again, that's one of the reasons why I wanted our audience to check you out, because you're doing amazing things. And as a classically trained musician, you know, you're definitely living in that world, but you're doing other things, and it's part of what we try to share here on Sounds of the Diaspora, that our artists are we just play music.
That's right.
And it's just part of everybody's journey. Everybody has, that transition from where you are to the next point. That's the diaspora. That's that movement. And you take the culture, you take the music, you take the sound, you take everything of the people with you, and that's what you're doing. And it's really rewarding to get to know you better and share with our audience the great things that you're doing. Thank
you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So that being said, we have one more song to share with our audience, and it's a good one, man, because slipping on Shevitz.
sipping on Shevitz. Yeah, it's a tribute. It's a tribute to Manischewitz for my Jewish friends out there. It's just kind of party music. This is probably the oldest of the recordings that I've shared with y'all. So
let's check this out.
All right, thank you.
Man, sipping on Chevets. Hey, I can only say when I was a kid, I was introduced to Chevets. I'm not going to go into the whole details.
Yeah, no, me neither. Yeah, that's the whole inspiration.
Okay.
Exactly what you're thinking.
So the whole band members of the Chevets Club, or?
No, it's just like, it's just like a throwback to my childhood, like it was like this magic elixir that you could never drink, but it was always there in the cupboard, and then on this, on Sabbath or Passover, you get to taste it, and whoa, you never tasted anything like that, it's just kind of like a throwback to simple, happy times,
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, well, it's always great to have those have a song reminiscence of those happy times for us, because like you said, during the pandemic, you had other songs, I am here, I am here now, different things that share in your growth, and we've all changed, those type of things. So sipping on Chevets,
Yes,
represents the that time where we all experienced that. So, but it's great, man. Mark,
thank you.
All I can say is it's been a pleasure having you in the show. It's that time, man. We have to wrap
No
this
worries. Yes.
It's been a pleasure having you on Sounds of the Diaspora.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor, truly. Thank you, Dion.
And I want to thank you for being on the show. Wish you and all of your colleagues of Imani Wind, continued success. And I want to personally wish you and all of the other members of your individual projects continued success and the great things you're doing. Any upcoming projects you want to share with us? So
a lot of stuff coming up. Stay in touch. MarkDoverMusic.com and MarkDoverMusic on Instagram. I'm posting everything, but some recordings coming up. A lot of exciting concerts coming your way this summer. So, yeah, just a bunch of different stuff. But not have to speak about specifics here, but really excited. So
okay, great,
yeah.
Mark. Once again, man, thanks for being here. It's been a pleasure. Man. Thank you.
An honor.
Yeah, man. So we're definitely gonna have you back. We're gonna figure this out.
I would love it. Anytime, man. Anytime.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's my good friend Mark Dover. Yeah, we had a great time hanging out with Mark tonight. So I just want to let you know, next week we're gonna have another amazing musician, Mr. Ricky Rodriguez, is going to be joining us. He's from Puerto Rico. He's a bass player extraordinaire. So join us next week as we bring him to the forefront, Sounds of the Diaspora, as our special guest that evening. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure hosting the show tonight. See you next week.
JBH Boutique Care offers you a unique exclusive membership in our nationwide concierge medical services network. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Judine Bontemps-Hill. I'm double board certified in family and obesity medicine. We pair exclusive personalized care with accessibility and convenience. A better way for you to receive immediate quality medical care. Whether at our main Orlando, Florida office, traveling across the U.S. or visiting the States, we bring you the best medical care without waiting for an appointment. Become a member today by calling 407-234-5282 or visit us online at jdhmeg1.com. JBH Boutique Care is proud to sponsor Sounds of the Diaspora, music and conversations with artists, and host Dion Parson every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Source TV Radio Network, WTSN, Washington, D.C.